What's up, everybody? Thank you for listening to the latest Barracks Talk podcast and supporting us here at DV Radio. That being said, we have been informed as of Sunday, October 6th, 2019, Honorable Discharge, the Up in Arms podcast will no longer cease to exist here at DV Radio. Up in Arms podcast is quitting production altogether right now. Honorable Discharge is going in another direction, and we do wish them all best of luck in whatever endeavors they do go on. While Media Litter Sandwich, hosted by Toden, will be going on hiatus come very shortly, and we promise you we will announce that date as soon as he lets us know. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please direct those towards the hosts of the respective shows. And we do apologize for any inconvenience that may cause you as a listener yourself. Thank you for supporting DV Radio, and if you yourself have a show or podcast that's already running, or you have something original you'd like to bring to DV Radio, please email us at oink@dvradio.net or info@dvradio.net, and we will get back with you as soon as possible. Now, on to Barracks Talk. Please remember, the views and opinions expressed by this show or any other show on DV Radio and its guests are strictly those of said individuals and do not reflect those of the DV Radio staff nor the staff of Dysfunctional Veterans.
Let's get it started in here. Get this party started on a Saturday night. I'm on a highway to hell all night long.
'Cause I got friends in low places where
Play that funky music, white boy. And I don't wanna miss a thing.
Online and on the go on your mobile device.
Listeners' discretion is advised.
This is Barracks Talk. It's DV Radio.
Google broke the toilet.
And I think I just broke my desk.
Tonight, Google is planning on taking over the world.
You can dip Brussels sprouts in chocolate to make them look like cake pops.
$15 is a little steep for a bag of dicks. It should be like $14.99.
I'm pretty easy to please.
Not even want to touch it as much as I want to.
Are you sure?
And we just went there.
Boom, 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 boom.
Because this is how it is on DV Radio. Yeah, you listen to the podcast there, young man.
You're tuned in to WDVR on dvradio.net or by searching DV Radio on the free Live 365 app on your mobile device.
Because this is how it is on DV Radio.
That is how it is right here on WDVR, dvradio.net. It's Barracks Talk. It is October 5th, 2019. I'm Boner Wood. We got Google, Oink, Frosty, Recoil, DB6. He's got Hey Felis, and Marquee. Anyway, how's everybody doing tonight?
Wonderful.
Outstanding.
Doing good. I'm doing better than 6. I don't believe he's got hay fever, by the way.
Well, I don't either. I just said it because hay, sick, fever. Anyway.
Well.
Oink and Frosty, how you guys doing?
Still living the dream up here in the frozen tundra.
Woohoo.
Not too bad.
Oh, there was no lowriders going by, so that's one for the record book
That's
tonight.
a plus.
All right. So since DV6 isn't here, Google has stepped up in his place to take over for the DV6 moment here at the beginning of the show. This is your time, Google, aka DV6.
Hey, by the way, when I go to the website and I click on the click to listen thing, it normally takes me
I've been
to
told
that box.
500,000 times.
All right. I didn't know. I'm just making sure. So
Look
is
at
anyone even
Facebook.
listening?
Look at
I have a question about the frozen tundra.
Uh-oh.
So, like, Anchorage gangs have, like, slide-by shootings and shit?
Oh, shit.
That's good.
And yes,
Only
we
in
have
the winter.
people listening. We have people listening tonight, yes.
That's good.
All 2 of them.
Yep. There's about 5.
We have more hosts than listeners.
Yep.
All right.
That's how it goes here
Anyway.
at DB Radio.
All right. So let's see. All right. So last Saturday when I was late, it was because we had that fundraiser. We raised they raised about $2,700 for us. So that was a major plus. And then on Sunday, maybe you guys all remember this, but DB6 did a live video of the tour of the C-17 bomber. Was it a C-17? Whatever it was.
Baker 17, yeah.
There you go. The B-17 bomber. I knew C-17 didn't sound right. So he did that. And then Tuesday, I believe it was, we found out that a different B-17 bomber crashed in Connecticut. But at first we didn't know it was a different one. So we're like, oh, maybe this is the one that we saw. But yeah, so a different one crashed and 7 people died, and may they rest in peace. But on Monday, apparently 6 forgot to mention that he may or may not be allergic to hay. Right? So we got, oh my God, on Monday, we got like 300 plus bales of hay in, which is enough to last us for like the next 10 months or whatever. It's just, he was like, by the time that we were all done putting everything away and stuff, sorry, I got sidetracked. By the time we got all done, he like couldn't really breathe. It was not good. So I ran into town. I picked up Zyrtec and gave that to him, and he felt better. And then the next day, so Tuesday at like noon, he crashed. And I'm like, oh my God, he was coughing like crazy. Didn't want to go to the hospital. So he said, fine, we'll see how you do during the night. And then Wednesday morning, I was like, that's it. You're going to the VA. And they told him that this is worse than hay fever. It's like a severe allergic reaction. And yeah, I had to take him to the doctor yesterday again because he still wasn't really getting any better. So, but he's on meds. And yeah, today's the first day that he felt kind of a little bit better. He's got an inhaler, and you know.
Good. Who's moving around?
I know.
Jesus Christ.
I know. You know, it's crazy. It's like we were talking the other night, and
The other out.
I know, right? The other night, and he was like, what the fuck is going on with this shit? Everything's trying to kill me. He goes, the bugs are trying to kill me. The grass is trying to kill me. Hay is trying to kill me. This is trying to kill me. And here comes Google. I'm like, don't forget about the eggs. He goes, the fucking chickens are trying to kill me.
I thought you were going to say, here comes Google to finish the job.
No. But yeah, he was like, you know, everything's out to get him. Everything's out to get him.
What the hell sounds like a wild animal trying to chew out of a wooden box?
That's what I said. Who keeps moving? Oh, me. So other than DB6 trying to snort hay and get high off the contact, what else has been happening at the DB farm?
One of our horses, the troublemaker, Mr. Daniel, he broke out yesterday. I forgot about that. Six saw him in the front yard, and I'm like, what the fuck over? I was like, this fucking horse. But other than that, he, on Monday morning, we noticed some nasal discharge. So I wiped his nose, didn't really think a whole lot of it. And then that night it was worse. And Tuesday morning it was even worse. And it was only on one side. So I was like, oh, this is not good because
now the horses are snorting.
no. So when they have nasal discharge, it could be usually if it's from both nostrils, it's like a cold or, like the start of maybe something, but whatever. When it's only out of one nostril, like he's got, it means it's usually indicative of a bad tooth on that side of his mouth.
Okay.
So he is currently on antibiotics. He is eating, but then not eating, and then eating, and then not eating. So we're forced to give the antibiotics through like a big giant syringe, whatever, so we can shove it down his throat. And the vet will be out on Tuesday.
Are you moving at all, Google?
No, I am not.
What the fuck is that noise?
Not me.
Everybody go silent.
Like everybody mute? Then we'll have dead air.
We already had dead air except for the...
I'm just trying to figure out who the fuck we need to kick out of the chat.
Well, maybe it's the new guy.
Mike? Mike Guardia? Yep. Mike Guardia making noise?
It's the only thing I can think of. Because Oink and Frosty are muted.
What are you doing over there, Mike?
That's a good question. I thought I was just sitting down, but I don't know.
Wood carving or...
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like those twisted headphone cords and somebody keeps like moving it back and forth across something like I am right now. That's what it sounds like.
I thought it was damn, one of those messenger things that they had there in, Good Morning Vietnam.
I was about to go
a porcupine trying to chew out of a wooden box.
Oh, man.
At first, I legitimately thought it was Frosty because he has this tendency during Frag Out, Drag Out to move his fucking microphone the entire show. And when you're editing for 6 straight hours and all you hear is you lose your fucking mind. But he's
That's
muted
great.
completely tonight. And I'm like, nobody else is lighting up. And I'm like, Google is the only one lit up. What the fuck is going on?
Oh, man.
Oh,
That's
shit.
Funny.
So, is there anything... Is there anything going on as far as DV Farm fundraisers or anything like that that the listeners need to know about?
Not right now, but as always, you can visit the website and donate there. Oh, and the DV page got shut down. Because it's too similar a name as the one that got shut down before.
Yeah, I lost my shit last week at the beginning of the show about that. So
I was like, are you fucking, it's so retarded.
I'm so retarded.
Mm-hmm.
There it is again. God damn it! Who's doing that?
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is. Sorry.
What was that? Who spoke?
Oh, that was me. I was just saying that I heard it too that time. Sounds like, I don't know, sounds like one of those phones, one of those like old-fashioned flip phones when you put it on vibrate.
Yeah, something like that. That's what it sounds like. Are you fidgeting at all, Google?
Did I what?
Are you fidgeting with anything at all?
I am not.
Funny how it stopped all of a sudden. Anyway, so dvfarm.org, there are some troubles with the servers right now. We're trying to get it fixed out with all the websites. But if you're having problems with the link to go into and do the whole donate thing, let us know, and we'll get you the direct link to the donate page if you want to donate via PayPal. Otherwise, you can donate when you go to shop on smile.amazon.com. Make DV Farm your charity of choice. No hidden fees or extra cost. A portion of your shopping cart's purchase amount goes directly to the DV Farm. Again, that's no hidden fees, extra charges. You pay for whatever you buy, and Amazon gives a portion of that to the DV Farm. Believe it or not,
We'll take checks mailed in.
right? Believe it or not, if you go and look on smile.amazon, if your charity is the DV Farm, you can look and see how much has been donated since they've been over there. I think last night I checked, it was like $10,000 some dollars. So it adds up, you guys. It really fucking adds up. I don't know if you've gotten enough to cover that yet or not, Google, because we know they do the quarterly thing. So,
I don't even know.
But I don't care how much you spend at, Amazon, that little bit adds up. So that's there.
Yes.
Speaking of Amazon, a lot of you have been saying, hey, Bo, make a Amazon wish list for the radio. And yeah, we've heard you for a long time. But me and Google have a lot of problems communicating sometimes. And it takes us a while to get shit made.
Speak for yourself, Bo.
Anyway. But we do have a Amazon store shopping list right now that you can go over and look at. And if you feel so inclined to buy something for the DV radio team, you can do so. The link is there in the chat. It just says link right now. I'll have it on the podcast. We'll have it on Facebook. I let Patreon members see it last night. If you think we don't need it, hello. Yeah, we fucking do. We have absolutely goddamn nothing. Most of us have $20 mics. So, but
this show brought to you by Soup Can and String.
Pretty much, pretty fucking much. That's what we're fucking working with here. A little bit of chewing gum wrapper as well. But yeah, that is up and running. When you go to it, just select whatever you want out of the shopping cart. If you find it somewhere cheaper, email us and let us know, and we'll give you the information to have it sent to that address, and we'll take it off the list if it covers one or whatever. So we listened to you guys. It just took us a minute because we had a lot of other logistical stuff to get out of the way, but the DV Radio shopping list is on Amazon. The link's in DV Radio chat right now, or you can search for it if you know how to search for it on Amazon. Don't ask me because I don't search for shopping lists, so Google it. YouTube it. I'm sure they've got a fucking YouTube video on how to find shopping lists on Amazon. They have a fucking YouTube video for everything. We've got Mike Guardia on tonight. He's talking a little bit with us now, but we're going to interview him after the break. His new book, Tomcat Fury, it's the history of the F-14. I almost said 18. I'm an asshole. I know. You can slap me in the nuts later, Mike. I apologize.
Know your birds, Bo.
Right. I was complimenting him on the fucking cover of this book. The illustration of this jet is just, it's beautiful. When I first pulled it out of the envelope, I literally said, I want to frame that. It's very rare for me to say something like that. So look forward to having that interview in a few minutes. We spoke last week, not too much in depth, but myself, Oink, and Frosty actually interviewed Betsy Ross, and she's going to have her interview next Saturday. You guys want to talk about that really quick in the fight series? Oink, Frosty?
Well, without giving too much away, the fight series is something that for a lot of folks that are not familiar with the military and what PTSD is, what it can do, and some of the demons that people face, I think she does an excellent job of laying all that out there in a format that's a little different than some most books read, from front to back, cover to cover type of book, but it gets the point across very well, and it's hard hitting. It's in your face. I know a lot of veterans. We've talked about this too. They have to set the book down at times, but it's definitely something that's needed. Like I said, for folks that may not understand what it is.
Frosty, do you have Anchorage going on over there? I'm guessing so. Oh, he unmuted. Go ahead, Frosty. You can speak, Frosty. You're unmuted. Or not. I mean, like, I think he
lick the button.
I think his brainstem just telegraphs up to his brain. I think that's why it takes so long sometimes. That or it's Western Union. Either way, go ahead, Frosty, if you can talk.
I was gonna say double mute, and then just as I got the other one unmuted, a truck decided to drive by.
Double muted.
That's how it goes.
I was gonna say, like Mike said, it's a hard hitting book. It's a good one. What else was I gonna say about that before I got interrupted? It's short. I mean, if you're one of those that can sit there and read it all, you could read it all in one, maybe 2 nights. It's under 100 pages, so it's a pretty easy read, but hard hitting topics.
Yeah, it is very emotional. It's an emotional roller coaster, to say the least. But without giving too much away, that is the interview for next week. Again, that's Betsy Ross, the author of the Fight series. You can find that on Amazon. What the fuck is all these noises tonight? God damn it! Fucking sound effects night at DV Radio. Like, we got a fucking Foley engineer in here because I wasn't alerted of that. Just like nobody else read the itinerary that we have a guest tonight. Oh, I didn't know we had a guest.
It's just the ghost getting ready for Halloween.
Itinerary.
See, Recoil didn't even know the itinerary was in there. Like, what the hell? Oh my god. Well, this week's been a fucking blast. I got sick Thursday.
Oh, there it is.
Oh shit. Anyway, yeah, I got sick Thursday, so that fucked up my entire week because it was Thursday, and you know my Thursday is basically Monday. We got a few minutes. How were your guys' weeks? Anybody?
Sorry, I'm reading the itinerary.
I was just gonna say, I already told you about my week.
Well, I mean, we've got Recoil, Oink, and Frosty. And
I mean, I became a driver this week because 6 was down.
It was a week like any other week, other than I was trying to contact Google more often than normal because I wanted to make sure 6 was doing all right.
Yep.
Well, I was going to, but I know how he is when he's sick, and he doesn't even want to fucking look at a phone. So I was like, I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah, that's why I talked to her and not him.
Yeah. Well, see, Thursday I was sick all day, and then I think it was Friday I get on and I look at Messenger and I see that 6 is basically dying, and I'm like, what the fuck happened while I was sick?
Yep.
I was like, goddamn, you go down for 24 hours, and then 6 is like, huh, fuck it, man, Bo's gone. Oh shit. Shit all. Alright. Frosty, Oink, you want to give your 2 cents?
Yeah, we did the same thing. We sit there and stared at each other for all week long because we switched squadrons. We're at our winter job now, and for 2 weeks we get to sit around and do training. Lovely Air Force CBT and CPR and all the other fun, exciting stuff. So it's been a very slow and boring week.
Jesus Christ. What about you there, Frosty?
Like you said, we sat around and stared at each other all week. Not a whole lot going on.
Oh my god! So you guys done a lot of this? Looking at each other, huh?
I was gonna say it was kind of a clown show, yeah.
Definitely a clown show.
Well, that's not what I was thinking when I heard the squeaking, but okay. Just thinking a little more Jergens lotion and Kleenex. You can sponsor us if you want. There, Jergens and Kleenex.
We aren't Navy.
That doesn't mean nothing. I mean, you were a Marine and now you're working on an Air Force base. So.
Had to lower my standards.
What is it? Men always ride in Navy equipment. Ain't that what Marine stands for? He don't
one of them.
He don't
That's
even
how you spell Marine. Never mind.
My ass rides in Navy equipment.
Either way, it works. So either way, it works. Oh my god. So I guess since we've got nothing and nobody wants to, fill up this time, I guess we'll go to break. We'll come back.
That just means I'll have more time for my news.
We'll come back. We've got Mike Guardia to talk about Tomcat Fury. If you haven't, go over to MikeGuardia.com. Check out his website. You can also buy his books through there. I think it takes you to wherever they're at. But yeah, you're listening to Barracks Talk right here on WDVR, DVRadio.net. And if that fucking sound doesn't quit by the time we get back, I'm going to lose my shit and just end the goddamn show.
DV Radio.
On Saturday, October 12th,
So I was only in the Army for a couple years.
a veteran,
Transitioning out was pretty rough for me.
a soldier that felt lost, alone, and had nowhere to turn.
And that started a bunch of obstacles, which did eventually lead to me wanting to write a book series to try to help veterans.
The author of the Fight series.
Because the VA denied me and I felt like I had no help, I was jumping couch to couch. I couldn't find a job. I was struggling.
Betsy Ross.
I eventually somehow dug myself out and wrote the Fight series, try to reach out.
The author of the Fight series joins us here on Barracks Talk, Saturday, October 12th.
It's under 100 pages. It's to the point. There is not much lollygag. It's short. It's to the point. It's mental. It's emotional. You might get emotional. You might cry. You might need a shot. I don't know.
Again, Betsy Ross, the author of the Fight series.
It's real. It's there for anyone to pick up and try to understand or relate.
That's Saturday, October 12th, only on dvradio.net.
It is what it is.
DV Radio.
Nothing to watch on TV. That's why you're listening to Barracks Talk on DVRadio.net, WDVR.
This ain't reality TV! It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal!
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
Well, isn't that special?
Laddie, don't you think you should rephrase that?
Mama said that. My mom.
Good day, sir!
Now class is dismissed, gentlemen.
Shooters Express is Charlotte's #1 destination for all personal defense, sport, instruction, and recreational shooting supplies. They offer concealed carry classes for only $29.95. That's only $29.95 for concealed carry classes. And if you're military or law enforcement, you'll receive great deals and be eligible for even more at Shooters Express. So head over to Shooters Express in Belmont, North Carolina, or visit shootersexpress.com for more information and monthly deals. That's Shooters Express in Belmont, North Carolina.
This is not a paid endorsement from Shooters Express and is provided solely by DV Radio free of charge.
Let's get it on. We've got some red bait for you! The music. Let's go!
You're listening to WDVR on DVRadio.net. By veterans, for veterans.
Simply made for you.
That's right. It is simply made for you. It's WDVRDVRadio.net. We're live here on Barracks Talk. I'm Boner Wood. We have Mike Guardia on. He is the author of Tomcat Fury, the history of F-14's, combat history of the F-14. But before we get into that, Mike, could you tell all of our listeners who you are really quick, just in case they're new to who you are, and I don't know why they would be listening anyway.
Absolutely. Well, hello to all my brothers and sisters in arms out there. This is Mike Guardia, formerly a tank commander in the U.S. Army, now a reclusive writer and historian, and here today to share with you a little bit about what I'm writing and sharing with the fellow veterans community.
It's awesome. Now, you just released this book this week or last week?
This one actually came out about 2.5 weeks ago now.
Okay, 2.5 weeks. My days run together, so I can't tell, up from down anymore. That being said, this is all about the combat history of the F-14, correct? Not, like its inception or anything, but the actual combat history.
That is correct, brother. We got a little bit of the inception in the first chapter, but good 95% of the book is just role in combat.
Okay. Now, what exactly are the hot topics that you go into? I know we have a few things that we want to discuss, but what's the major hit points as far as what is going to draw people into your book and set yours aside from someone else that's written about the F-14, obviously?
Well, I think the big selling point is really that it's a full comprehensive combat history of the F-14 that's all been put into one volume. And what I noticed over the years, as I've been reading, various books on aviation, F-14, F-15, etc., is that you have multiple volumes out there that are dedicated to only a certain portion of what the plane actually did. You'll have a few books out there that say, okay, here's what the F-14 did in Desert Storm. Here's what it did up to this particular point in history. And then here's what the F-14 did in Iraqi Freedom or Enduring Freedom. But I noticed that there wasn't really a book that told the full combat history in one volume to include its service in the Air Force of Iran and its various missions in the hotspots around the world. So I think that's going to be the real big drawing point there. And more than that is that it relies very heavily on the firsthand accounts of the pilots who actually flew the plane. And it lets them tell the story and in a way lets the reader live vicariously, I think, through the pilot tales themselves.
Now, you mentioned on the back here that it was in movies like Top Gun, Executive Decision, and stuff like that. And of course, we're talking about the combat missions. Now, to go in depth a little bit about these combat missions, you mentioned Iran and Iraq. What is it exactly that you have in this book that other authors haven't touched on?
Well, I think as far as the Tomcats in Iran are concerned, I think one of the big selling points of my work is going to be that I'm doing a portion of the Tomcats history that not a lot of people know about and not a lot of authors have previously touched on. When we think of Iran, the images that come to mind are, of course, the Ayatollah Khomeini. We think about the Iranian Revolution, and we think about the not so friendly relations that we've had with that country for upwards of 40 years now. But it wasn't always like that. Once upon a time, Iran was the closest ally that we had in the Middle East. And the Shah of Iran was our closest friend. So the Shah, of course, being a next door neighbor to Iraq, he didn't have any love for Saddam either. But seeing that Saddam Hussein was very close to the Soviet Union and getting all these brand new MiGs and Sukhois, he said, the Shah said to himself, well, you know what? I really need something of comparable or greater value because I want Iran to be a major power player in the affairs of the Middle East. So he goes knocking on Richard Nixon's door and says, I have billions of dollars that I'm willing to spend on top-notch American equipment. What do you have for me? And Nixon, against the advice of Henry Kissinger, says, well, Shah, I'm glad you came to see me because I have the brand new F-14 Tomcat and F-15 Eagle that I can sell to you for top dollar. Which one do you want? And after extensive trials, the Iranian Air Force selected the F-14. Ultimately, we delivered 79 of them. And the best Tomcat pilots in the Iranian Air Force were trained under the Shah. And story gets a little bit ironic after that, brother, because in the wake of the Iranian Revolution, the best Tomcat pilots, they either A, fled Iran, or they were rounded up and imprisoned by the new regime. Yet when the Iran-Iraq war came out, it was surprising how quickly the revolutionary government emptied their prisons and said, okay, we need all you Tomcat pilots to take flight to the skies over Iran and shoot down all these Iraqi MiGs. And, wow. It's true what they say, war makes strange bedfellows. And a lot of those Iranian pilots were, quote unquote, forgiven for their loyalties to the Shah because they shot down so many Iraqi MiGs. The Tomcat had the most illustrious combat record in service with the Iranian Air Force. Many of those pilots were trained by Americans. I think that's funny and ironic at the same time.
It is. It really is. And like you said, war does make strange bedfellows. It's funny how war plays out, enemies and friends at the end of the day. One of our listeners and great friends and affiliates with DV Radio, PTSDog, Joaquin Watai, he was actually in the Navy and he served on the USS John F. Kennedy. And he said during the final combat deployment of the F-14 during Operation Deny Flight. Did you have that in your book at all, or learn anything about that?
Absolutely. It's chapter 7, I believe. Talks about everything that the F-14 did between Desert Storm and the start of 9/11. So I got some great stories from some veterans who flew the Tomcat over Bosnia, and when they were doing Operation Northern Watch and Southern Watch, and enforcing those no-fly zones, and also protecting the ethnic Kurds from Saddam's aggression. And the thing that I got out of a lot of those stories was that you really see how versatile the Tomcat is, not only as a air superiority fighter, but a reconnaissance and a ground attack aircraft. And these guys, they have incredible stories to share. You specifically mentioned Deny Flight. Well, Deny Flight and the various missions and incarnations over Bosnia and Kosovo had some of the most colorful stories that I had ever seen.
I was wanting to ask you, for your research for this book, you obviously interviewed actual pilots of the F-14 Tomcat. How did those interviews go? I know any combat story is not, the best thing to bring about with anybody, but was it somewhat of a relief for some of them to get this out there? Was it harder than they expected to talk to you about? How did the interviews go?
Well, I think sharing the stories for a lot of folks, I think it's therapeutic more than anything. I think no matter who you are, it helps. It helps solidify some sense of closure, and also helps. I think your psyche know that you're putting something down for the sake of posterity, that that future veterans and even your everyday casual reader can benefit from.
Right, and I've got to agree with that. I've seen a lot that wants that history out there for people to say, okay, this is what happened. They were there. They know their shit. Instead of turning to Top Gun and Tom Cruise. But one thing that I really love, like I said, is the illustration on the front. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I was at a bit of a crossroads when I was thinking of how I was going to do the front cover, because there are a lot of good photos of the Tomcat out there, but it's hard to find one that would really make in my opinion, that would really make an epic cover photo. So I went searching all around the internet. I found so many great photos of the Tomcat in flight, but I'm like, well, I want something that is really going to grab the reader. And there was a aviation photography studio that has a website of these great in-flight shots of various military jets around the world. Everything from F-15s to Sukhois. And I was looking through their library of F-14 photos, and I was seeing a lot of good things in there, but nothing that really struck my attention until I found that photo that appears on the cover, and I said, I have to have this one. Now, it was just the picture of the Tomcat as it appears there against the plain blue sky. It was from Squadron VF-213 Grim Reapers and one of their last deployments of that plane. And I worked out a licensing agreement to buy the rights to use that photo for the cover. But I said, okay, well, now that I got a good image against that plain blue sky, I want to try and do something with it that's really going to grab the reader's attention. So my cover artist, whom I've worked with before, I said, I'm going to give this to you. I think it's a really good stock photo that we can use. Now, I'm not picky on how exactly we create a backdrop and cover setup for this. My only guidance, and I know that this is vague, it's an abstract concept, but just make it look epic. And she said, okay, I think I can do that. And like not even 2 days later, she delivered me the proof. And I was just like, my reaction was like yours. I was like, oh man, I got to frame this. This looks like a movie poster. I was beyond impressed with the work she did.
It really does. I mean, I brought up Top Gun. That's what it puts you in the mind of. It puts you in the mind of a movie poster that you'd see for Top Gun or any other in-flight movie that's out there about aircrafts. And I mean, she didn't go overboard with the actual jet engines or anything that's shown there in the picture. It's enough to make it pop, and it draws your attention. And I can't praise it enough, man. It's just beautiful. But getting back on track, go back in history a little bit before 9/11 and Iraq, Iran. You talk about the combat missions that occurred in the 80s. Do you want to tell our listeners about that? I know Chapter 2 is Gulf of Sidra incident, 1981.
Right on, brother. So let's wind the clocks back to 1981. Libya had not been our friend for several years at that point. You had that gentleman, and I'll use the term lightly when I talk about Muammar el-Gaddafi, who insisted that the Gulf of Sidra was Libyan territorial waters. And he said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line down the middle of the Gulf of Sidra, and I'm going to call it my line of death. And by God, any American ship or any American plane that crosses my line of death is going to be fair game for anything in the Libyan military. Now, what Gaddafi didn't seem to appreciate, what didn't seem to register with him at the time, was that, the international law being what it was, is that you cannot claim more than 12 miles out from your coastline as territorial waters. Anything beyond that is the high seas, and the international community recognizes it as such. Every international maritime legal body or whatever is all on the same page by saying, hey, 12 miles is the limit. You can't go and claim 250 miles of a gulf and claim that it's yours. So we routinely ignored it, as did everybody else. But because Gaddafi was spoiling for a fight, here comes the USS Nimitz on a freedom of navigation exercise. This is in the late summer of 1981. And, interceptions with Libyan pilots had been common throughout those naval exercises. You'd have the F-14s in flight, and maybe they'd get shadowed by a Libyan MiG-21 or a Libyan MiG-23. And they typically ended with no confrontation. It was just a simple interception. The F-14 would escort the Libyan jet back to the edge of, the American training maneuver space. And that was it. But on the morning of August 19th, 1981, you had a pair of F-14s that intercepted two Libyan Su-22s. And for one reason or another, they were itching for a fight. The two Sukhoi Su-22s fired on the F-14s. And the F-14 says, okay, game on. We're going to fire back. And in an engagement that lasted less than 50 seconds, both those F-14s had blown those Sukhois out of the sky. And when you look back on it, it was really an overmatch. Man, those Sukhois picked the wrong fight on the wrong day, because the Su-22, even at maximum armament, was garbage. I mean, it was like one of the worst made Soviet exports ever. And, this made headline news back in America. And more to the point, it was seen as a much needed victory, because 1981, we're only a few years out from Vietnam. People still have the memories of Vietnam in their minds. But, now these two F-14s, which have never seen combat in U.S. service before, have made short work of the pride of Gaddafi's Air Force. And it was front page news throughout the country, even to the point where a lot of local movie theaters were putting up on their marquees, U.S. Navy 2, Libya 0.
That's just awesome. That's fucking great. If you're just tuning in to Barrett's Talk here on dvradio.net, we've got Mike Guardia, the author of Tomcat Fury, A Combat History of the F-14. When I opened this book, Mike, it looks like something I would have seen in my middle school or high school library. Is that intentional? Are you wanting people of those age groups and higher to grab this off the shelf and start reading it? Because, like I said, I opened it up. Well, when I first seen it, I was like, I've got to read this when it showed up at my house. But when I opened it up, like I say, it looks really easy to read, which any of your books that I've ever looked at and read is. But was that your intention?
Yeah, it was well for me. My intent was to make something that was easy to read, easy to follow, not get too bogged down into the military jargon, but to make something that was readable, something that flowed, and something that was really powerfully illustrated. Because those illustrations really do help tell the story, and I think they add such a rich dimension to it. And I figured, okay, if I can make this into a coherent story, it can be something that can be as enjoyable for a high school sophomore as it is for a retired Navy pilot who did like 55 combat missions. And
definitely.
The response that the book has gotten so far, I think, has been right along those lines. And I really had a lot of fun with this one.
That's beautiful. I don't think Snafu is listening when you introduced yourself, or but he wants to know if you ever flown a Tomcat.
I wish.
Right?
Yeah.
Speaking of the interviews, is there anything that shouted out at you when you went and spoke to these pilots about the Tomcat?
Just how incredibly proud they were of the plane. Really, that's more than anything else. Every pilot that I've known, in any capacity, they all have one particular plane that they fall in love with. And I've spoken to civil aviators, I've spoken to military aviators. They can always tell me in excruciating detail what crate they flew that was their all-time favorite. And for these F-14 pilots and for these F-14 Rios, it far and away, even to this day, the F-14 remains their favorite.
That's awesome. Now, you do tell the combat history, again, of the F-14. What ties the 80s and Desert Storm into Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom? Because I know you have 2 separate chapters on those alone.
Yeah, well, what ties the both of them together to that conflict is really it was the last hurrah for the plane. Because by that point, by the late 90s, it was pretty much understood that the Tomcat was nearing the end of its service life. They had made the decision in the early to mid 90s that they were going to retire the Tomcat, and they were going to replace it eventually with the F-18. And that was a decision that angered a lot of folks within the naval aviation community, because they felt that the plane still had a lot of life left in it, and it should be extended out as far as they were anticipating keeping the F-15 around. And it's kind of sad, because when you look at what it did in Enduring Freedom, and also in the opening days of Iraqi Freedom, you really saw the Tomcat shine as a ground attack and a reconnaissance plane, and it performed that role beautifully. And the touch of irony there is that the Tomcat could actually stay in the air longer than the F-15 Hornet could. So you had a lot of advocates within naval aviation, pounding on the doors of the Pentagon, pounding on the doors of Congress, saying, "Hey, look, don't get rid of the Tomcat yet, because look how cost efficient and fuel efficient it is. It can do several hundred miles round trip, dropping bombs on the Taliban, dropping bombs on Al Qaeda in Iraq, at a much higher rate of efficiency than we think the F-18 can deliver." And be that as it was, the DoD still held fast to saying, no, we're going to retire the Tomcat at the end of 2006.
That is sad, especially when a lot of us grew up seeing them fly over, and all you ever seen on the news was the F-14. Like, you know, Oink, have you gotten to read any of this? I think you did, right?
Yeah, I got to read pretty much all of chapter 1, and like I said, just something we talked about a little bit during the pre-show. Just being an aircraft fan, an enthusiast, somebody that likes aircraft, hence why I joined the Air Force. But I think you did a great job so far of just laying out the footwork. Like I said, I've gotten through chapter 1, started into chapter 2 there, and so like you said, some of the other aircraft that was in competition with the F-14, like the F-111s, it just brought back a lot of different memories, from your per se childhood of these other aircraft that were out there. So I can't put it down now. As soon as the show's done, I'm gonna pick it back up and get back in there. No kidding. But the F-14 definitely, like I said, I've been around 15s most of my career being Air Force, but the F-14 always caught my attention too whenever I seen them out there because, the whole sweep, the wings sweeping back and the different roles that they could do. It was definitely a diverse aircraft and the different roles that it played. So I can't wait to get further in to see some of those combat missions, that you talk about and, get to feel it and experience it.
Definitely. That's one thing I'm looking forward to is seeing what the actual pilot's experience was with the F-14, because you can watch a movie 2,400,000 times and it's still not the same as hearing it from someone who actually experienced it. Recoil Google Frosty, are you there?
I am here.
Is there anything that you'd like to talk to Mike about in accordance with Tomcat theory or ask him?
Not currently, but I do have to say, like, I was checking it out, and I mean, this guy's been writing his butt off. He's got over a dozen books for sale on Amazon. So this one's a good one for me to start with, to learn his writing style and enjoy the information it's provided. But it looks like I got a lot of reading to do.
Definitely. Well, the How Moral Leadership, you definitely got to pick that one up. Trust me, it's really good. Google Frosty. You guys have to unmute.
Can I help you?
I was gonna say you guys have to unmute. Is there anything you'd like to talk to Mike about with Tomcat theory?
Well, I mean, I'm not much into aircraft, so.
Oh, boo.
I go see them.
But buzz
that's
off.
about the extent of it.
Party
Jesus,
pooper.
I'm listening to Six coughing his head off.
Party pooper. What about you, Frosty? You're a Marine
right?
on an Air Force base. Are you double muted?
Yeah, I was. Trying to make sure I'm not making extra noise for you.
Mike, why do you ever come on Barracks Talk, brother? I don't understand.
Because you keep inviting me back.
No, I asked Mike that, not you. God damn it. Learn your name.
Sorry.
I didn't know that was a requirement.
I don't have my name tag on.
Go ahead, Frosty.
Now, working on the Air Force Base, it's kind of fun seeing all the different aircraft, and this is one that I've never seen up close, and I'm going to have to check out the book here, add it to my reading list. It looks really interesting, especially hearing some of the stories that you talked about with it.
I don't know if this pertains to anyone you interviewed or not, Mike, but Snafu said he's wondered if any prop pilots that went to jet fighters preferred one over the other. Did you get to speak to anybody like that?
No, but what was interesting though is seeing how well the props and the jets work together. Because if you take a look at the first Gulf of Sidra incident that happened in 1981, and then the second Gulf of Sidra incident that happened in '89, when two F-14s went against some Libyan MiG-23s, you really see that the prop planes, like the E-3 Orion and the surveillance ones that run the electronic counter missions, really work in tandem with the F-14, and they're able to see farther and be the long range eyes and ears of the Tomcat when it's in flight. And just based on everything I gathered, the props and the jets, they have an immense amount of respect for each other, and that's a good teamwork synergy that I from my perspective I haven't seen a lot of in many other organizations.
Something that you touched on earlier too that I forgot about and wanted to mention was that just being around the Air Force and, like I said, knowing the bios and stuff like that of your commanders or wing commanders and stuff like that. And I think you nailed it pretty good when you said that, as a fighter pilot, they fly different aircrafts, not all the time, but most of the time they, start out and say the F-16 and then progress to the, F-22 or whatever the case may be. But there's always going to be that one love that they, that aircraft that they love. And I would most definitely would have to agree if I was ever going to naval aviation that, the F-14, if you ever had a chance, that probably would have been, the cream of the crop right there. Because, obviously with the F-35 that's coming out, yeah, we got issues with that. So, but that's a whole different story in its own. But yeah, I mean, I think the F-14 would definitely be something that I think most pilots would love to have flown if they never had the chance to fly it.
Yeah, I've got to agree with what Mike said as well. I've got a few friends that served in the Air Force and spoke to a lot of pilots that's been in what seems like for fucking ever, and it seems like the props and the Tomcats worked really well with each other, and like he said, just had the utmost respect for one another, especially when it came to the scouting and stuff like that. Mike, is there anything that you want to tell our listeners other than Tomcat Fury that's going on with your life, books, anything like that you've got planned for this year, next year, or anything of that nature?
Absolutely, brother. As a matter of fact, two projects that I can share that are in the hopper as of right now. The first one is called Days of Fury, and that essentially tells the story of the Battle of 73 Easting from the perspective of Ghost Troop. Some of your listeners out there may be familiar with a book I did called The Fires of Babylon, which told of 73 Easting from Eagle Troop's perspective. That was the unit commanded by H.R. McMaster. So I'm telling Ghost Troop's perspective, who fought alongside Eagle Troop. That one's going to be coming out next year. And another book that is on tap for 2020 is going to be a book called Danger Forward, and that is a biography of a gentleman named Paul Gorman. Maybe the name might not be familiar at first, but may have heard of one or two of his accomplishments. He's a 1950 West Point grad, young lieutenant, fought at the Battle of Porkchop Hill. As a lieutenant colonel and a battalion commander, he was the commander of American forces at the Battle of Bong Trang, 1966. He won the Distinguished Service Cross for his leadership in that battle. He was able to hold off a numerically superior Viet Cong force, despite the fact that he was being burned by napalm.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, and stays in the military. Fast forward a few years later, and he becomes the principal architect of the infamous Pentagon Papers that exposed Vietnam for what it was.
That's where I've heard his name. Okay. Yeah. All right.
And,
makes sense now.
And fast forward a little bit later beyond that, after the Pentagon Papers, he ends up in command of Southcom. And to all non-military types out there, Southcom is an acronym for U.S. Southern Command. That handles all military operations in South America and the Caribbean. Well, he commanded Southcom when we had troops in El Salvador and in Nicaragua, and also when we kicked off the invasion of Grenada.
Wow, it's like Recoil said, you've got a lot of shit on your plate and you've got a lot under your belt. Like, you keep busy. I love it. And the best thing about your books is they're all easy to read. I implore you all that's listening, at least to go grab this one. If you don't grab any others, grab this one. And since, Christmas is coming up, what's the name of your children's book again there, Mike, for all of our listeners that actually is to the rhythm of A Night Before Christmas?
Yes. So my parody of The Night Before Christmas is called World War II Night Before Christmas. And in this satirical rendition, Santa visits the Allied troops in Bastogne on Christmas Eve, 1944.
And one beautiful thing that I found, other than the illustrations, which are just immaculate in that book, is the fact that you stay true to history. You call them Nazis. You don't go all PC on us. And it's a good history lesson for kids, especially. It's real easy to read. So go check out MikeGuardia.com. Check his books out on Amazon. While you're there, go to smile.amazon and get make DV Farm your charity choice while you check out his book. Yeah, Do it. Mike, it's always a pleasure having you on. We could sit here and talk for hours about your work. We've actually talked in depth a little bit before anyway about some of your books. If that's all, brother, thank you so much. You're always welcome to come back on.
Thank you, brother. I can't thank you enough for having me on your program, and I love what you guys do. Everything from the DV farm, Google, Oink, Recoil, Frosty. Guys, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, brother. It's like I said, it's a pleasure having you on. You're always welcome. Hit me up when your other books are getting ready to drop, and we will get you back on here, man.
Sounds like a plan to me, brother. Always a pleasure.
All right, you have a great evening.
All righty, you too.
Yeah, that was Mike Guardia, the author of Tomcat Fury, A Combat History of the F-14. Again, go check out MikeGuardia.com. The link's in DB Radio chat on dbradio.net/chat. They will also be in the description of this podcast, and we will put it out on social media, i.e. Facebook, Twitter, and MeWe. And I just love his books. Recoil, you got to see his plethora of authorship there, huh?
Yeah, he's one hardworking dude, man.
Yeah, and he's a young guy. He's around my age, so he has to just sit there and do nothing but type or write all day. I don't know which he does, but I don't see where he has the time between his family and whatnot. Could one of you take over for just a moment?
I don't know, man. Being on the show is made me more of a reader because obviously I think I've read one entire book from front to back when I was in high school, and then then well, you know, I'll wait for the movies to come out.
Penthouse doesn't count.
That's true. They do have some good articles, but anyway, I think PTSDog's book was the first one I've read in a long time since, high school, and then of course the fight series, and then starting on Mike's book here. Like I said, it is definitely easy to read and it gets your attention. So, like I said, I can't wait to get in there and actually read more about the combat missions.
Yeah,
I realized that I just don't have time to read. I've been reading the same book for like a year and a half now.
Constitution.
And it's not that it's that many pages. Nope, I just don't have the time.
I was going to say, are you still reading Green Eggs and Ham to 6?
No.
We finally
like
got through that one. He doesn't like that book anymore, she said.
No.
I might pick up his American Heroes collection.
His what?
His American Heroes collection. He's got Hal Moore, Shadow Commander, and American Guerrilla.
Yeah, I want to get
all in a collection.
I want to get Shadow Commander and the other one, not the Hal Moore one, the other one.
The Guerrilla one?
Yes. What was it called, Recoil?
American Guerrilla.
There you go.
Well, fancy.
Well, 500 things went through my mind when I heard American Guerrilla. So.
Well, that's currently on sale for 40% off.
Yay.
So head over to smile.amazon.com, make DV Farm your charity of choice, and type in Mike Guardia. Do it right now. That's Guardia.
Buy one of every book.
Yes, yes. Buy one of every book. Oh shit! And if you have a Kindle or want to try out Kindle, you can, I think, get one or two of his books for free, and then of course you have to start paying. But that's a good way to at least get into how he writes and stuff like that. Like I said, it's real easy to read. It's nothing, oh my god, kind of professor stuff. But I mean, Oink got through the first chapter, so I think we're doing good.
I know, right?
I'm so proud of you.
As much as I read.
As much as you read? Did we just lose Recoil?
I was going to say, I hope that wasn't me.
I thought it
too. I looked at my computer. I'm like, oh shit.
Well, when nobody said anything, I was like, oh shit, my end went down. What the
fuck? Oh man.
If I'm going to read a book, I'd rather read an actual book. A backlit screen reading that much just fucks with my eyes too much.
Well, see, the Kindle, the good thing about the Kindle is it's not actually backlit. It's more of a frosted screen, and it looks like a page. I
have a Kindle app, but that's totally different than an actual Kindle device.
Yeah, that's not the same.
No, it's not. I have a Kindle device somewhere, and my mom has lost it. So, yay, mommy! I love you too.
Guess you need to get the app.
Well, I do have the app, but like Recoil said, the fucking backlight kills my eyes. They need a dark mode for that shit.
Gotcha.
And it's not working for me and PTSDog. Me and him were trying to share each other's books to one another today when he was here at my house. And it was like, you can't send this in Messenger. It's like, whatever.
That's a Facebook thing.
Yeah, that's a Facebook thing. That's a fucking dick face thing. Anyway, so there
head
is
over to MeWe and create yourself a freaking account. I did create a MeWe account. I just can't remember it, so I'll have to make another one.
I
don't even know what MeWe is.
MeWe.com. It's MeWe.com. It's literally MEWE.com. We have a DV radio page as well as a DV group. You can join them both. It's free. It's completely private, just like anything else. There's no ads, and they don't force you to look at whatever you don't want to look at. Whatever shows up in your newsfeed shows up in your newsfeed. If you're following 68 pages updates will show up in your newsfeed the way they put them out. That's the good thing about
when
MeWe.
Facebook used to be like that.
Right. I was getting ready to say MeWe won't last long. I've actually spoke to a few of them on the back end, and they seem like really nice people. But you know, things can change. You do have to pay for little extras like emoticons and like dark mode and shit like that. But we went ahead and made a DV radio page to see how that does. Again, that's MeWe.com. Once you make your account, just search for DV Radio. There is a group and a page. If you follow them both, well, you'll get the updates twice. That's how it's going to work.
If I have to pay for the emoticons, I will not join.
Right.
So as long as they don't sell it to the former KGB.
Exactly. Exactly. As long as they don't pull a MySpace, we'll be good.
It was funny though when it first came out, there wasn't many rules. Then we joined, and there came more rules.
That's actually what happened. That is actually what happened. I'm not joking.
Most of the rules on Facebook are because of DV.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, but they're only enforced on DV, not everywhere else.
Yes, this is true.
But that did happen to MeWe. Yeah, that's for sure. You can post whatever you want. We just ask that you don't be blatant racist. Any self-harm encouragement. Don't dash others' families or anyone that's not in the media. And do not post pornography. And follow MeWe's terms and stuff like that. Other than that, you can post whatever the fuck you want. We don't give a shit. As long as you're following those basic guidelines, rules, whatever the fuck you want to call it, we're good.
Rules.
Whatever. I don't give a fuck what you call it. Every society has to have some type of rules. If not, the Armageddon will happen. It's just, there is no utopia where there is no set rules, guidelines, whatever the fuck you want to call them. All right? It's not how this world works. Oh, shit. I was going to pull a video clip and play it tonight, but I forgot
Video clips are always good for radio.
Well, I was going to pull the audio from it. That's what I was going to do. And I forgot to do it. So I'm going to...
Guess it's not going to get played.
Oh, it's going to get played. It's going to get played. I'm going to play it right now. It's about 1 minute and 52 seconds long. And it happened at some meeting with... it was a town hall meeting with AOC. In Corona, New York, Queens Public Library, and they were talking about, the world ending in 2 days. That's literally what this chick is yelling about. If you can't understand it, please listen to the podcast. I'll have the audio cleaned up a little bit. But here we go.
Be here for much long because of the climate crisis. We only have a few months left. I love that you support the Green Deal, but it's not getting rid of fossil fuel. It's not going to solve the problem fast enough. A Swedish professor saying, we can eat dead people, but that's not fast enough. So I think your next campaign slogan has to be this: we got to start eating babies. We don't have enough time. There's too much CO2. All of you're a pollutant. Too much CO2. We have to start now, please. You are so great. I'm so happy that you really support the nuclear deal, but it's not enough. Even if we would bomb Russia, we still have too many people, too much pollution. So we have to get rid of the babies. That's a big problem. Just stopping having babies is not enough. We need to eat the babies, and this is very serious. Please give a response.
Thank you. No, thank you. We'll go ahead. Okay. No, we'll go ahead. No. Yeah, no. Thank you. So I think so one of the things that's very important to us is that we need to treat the climate crisis with the urgency that it does present. Luckily, we have more than a few months. We do need to hit net zero in several years. But I think we all need to understand that there are a lot of solutions that we have and that we can pursue, and that if we act in a positive way, there's space for hope. We are never beyond hope. Okay.
So that was at a town hall meeting with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and the lady is screaming at her that we have to eat babies because we all exhale CO2, and the only way to save the earth in a few days is to eat babies. Yeah, what do you guys think about that one?
Well, I mean, what is the recommended sauce for dipping babies in?
Well, I was going to say, one, AOC is beyond hope, and two, from all the research that I've done into this, everything points towards that this lady is a plant by some other organization. Just
it was their attempt to make Ocasio not the craziest bitch in the room.
Exactly. just more to like prove that you're fucking crazy.
Well,
and this is what people are going to start thinking.
AOC didn't disagree, so
that's the thing. She didn't say no, we mustn't eat babies. She was just like, we do have a few different solutions that we can choose from.
But no, we have to eat the babies.
Right. But it's gotten so much media play because it's believable. People think this stuff.
I know.
They're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
I don't know what country this woman's from. Obviously, she's from a foreign country. But the fact that she is
California.
The fact that she is standing there and screaming out this in outrage, they actually have to bring up some security to make her shut the fuck up. They pulled the shotgun mic away from her. That's why you hear it get really low at times. They're trying to calm her down. I don't think they actually pull her out of the meeting. They just get her to shut the fuck up. And there's R.I. Dreams, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back Fridays.
To me, it looks like somebody just got a hold of Jonathan Swift's essay, "The Modest Proposal: Preventing Children of Poor People," where they feed the babies to the rich. So.
Yep. Well, there's another movie out there called Snowpiercer. A lot of people believe it's what would happen if Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
If we don't eat babies?
No, it's if Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory goes on to tell Charlie's story, and if you pay attention, it makes sense. But one of the foods that the poor people are eating, the food that they have to eat, are dead people. Like it's all squished up in a fucking cube and shit, and that and bugs. That's what they're eating, humans and bugs. It's like, wow.
See, if I had been there, I would have asked AOC, well, you're telling us that we can't eat cows anymore because you want to ban them. So what's wrong with eating babies?
Well, if we ban cows, doesn't that mean we have to slaughter them, which means we have to get rid of their food somehow?
Yeah, but she's hoping that we'll do that before the end of the world and then just not reproduce any cows.
In 12 years.
In 12 years. Yeah.
I don't know how well that's going to work out.
Well, if you want to hear more stupid junk that's in the news, stay tuned. On the other side of the break, we've got a shit ton of articles to get through. And I don't know if we, the ante this week or not, but I know eating babies is one of them. This is Barrett's Talk right here on DVRadio.net.
What's DV Radio?
DV Radio is for you, the veteran, active duty service member, caregiver, and civilian supporter of the military. DVRadio.net is the online veteran network made for and by veterans. From original shows to syndication, you can find it here on DVRadio.net. In an effort to continue our mission and make better quality shows for each and every one of you, visit our Patreon at patreon.com/DV Radio. Whether you can only pledge $1 per month or that entire $1 million inheritance your uncle left you, there's a tier with rewards waiting for you. So why not keep DV Radio running and get rewarded at the same time? Head to patreon.com/DV Radio now. That's patreon.com/DV Radio. DV Radio.
I see a little bit of foreskin.
Because this is how it is.
Yes. Good thing we didn't say you better tune in. This is one for the record books. You don't want to miss it.
We'll talk quietly amongst ourselves.
This is fucking fantastic.
On DV Radio.
You're tuned in to DV Radio, where the shenanigans never end. Now, back to our show.
You big dummy.
And now, it's time to find out what stupid junk is in the news.
All right. So this evening, please bear with me since there are a shit ton of stories and they're all sent in by different people for the most part. So normally I organize it so that it kind of like flows easily. Tonight, I'm just going to go through it in order and I'll tell you who sent it in. And FYI, to those of you that sent in stories, since I was so busy over the past week driving people around and having a life also outside of that, I appreciate everyone sending in their stuff. So we'll get started with Recoil's story. It's a political one, but not very political. Stunning photos reveal progressive leaders flashing white power sign. I thought that was the punch yourself sign. Or is that only the below the belt punch yourself one?
That's only below the belt, and also it's actually the international symbol in sign language for okay.
I know, right? It's great.
Actually, in sign language, it's the letter F.
This is an older story, but it's still good because we're still talking about white power and all that crap. So the image at the top shows, look at that. Mr. President Obama, Mr. President Clinton, and Mrs. Clinton, because she couldn't make it as president. I'm like, it's just crazy. All this madness still. I can't believe we're almost we're in election season again, and we're not even talking about the election.
That actually started off as like a satirical piece. And people are now taking that as an OK symbol is actually a white supremacist sign.
I know, right? That's what's crazy
idiots.
about it.
That's called mainstream media.
That's why they're the lamestream media.
They don't check facts. Yay.
They don't know how. I firmly
what you
believe
make 'em.
they don't.
They probably Snopes it or whatever the fucking website's called.
Yeah, it's Snopes. Even Snopes gets stuff wrong.
Snopes is so fucking, what is it, left leaning? It's not even funny anymore.
I know, it's great. Okay, moving right along. The next three are sent in by Frosty. Mr. Frosty. Two daring
this is what-
pranksters.
I was just going to say, this is what Frosty does during the week. He doesn't actually work. He just goes through and finds stupid articles in the news.
Oh man.
Gotta
Two
have something to
daring
pass the time.
pranksters allegedly hacked a billboard to play pornography. Oh my goodness. This happened in Michigan. Michigan drivers got more than they bargained for after two pranksters allegedly took over a billboard with some rather risque material. I'm sorry, but if the porn actually played, then they didn't allegedly hack the billboard. They actually hacked the billboard.
Well, I mean, if they don't know where the hacking came from, then allegedly they did it. If they didn't catch them in the act or have it traced back to their computers, allegedly they done it.
Well, but it was hacked. According to Michigan's Auburn Hills Police Department, on September 28th, the two individuals pictured above broke into a small building underneath a digital billboard on the side of I-75. And I'm sorry, but these two people, you can't even fucking see what they look like because they're wearing like Halloween costumes. I can't say they're wearing KKK outfits because
I
they
gotta
don't
see
look
this.
like pointy hoods.
Sorry, I'm also eating a ham sandwich because I'm really fucking hungry, and I'm Bo. They look like they tried to step on the set of fucking Breaking Bad.
I've never seen Breaking Bad, so
They
there's
make
that.
meth. They make meth.
Once inside, they somehow managed to hack the billboard. Oh my God. The story just gets better. So they allegedly hacked it, but now it's they allegedly somehow managed to hack. All right. Some
Where did
drivers
they
were
get their law
surprised.
degree at?
I don't know. Some drivers were surprised and delighted at the unexpected sight, while others were likely confused. Oh my God.
They weren't confused. They were just like, "Oh my God, look, there's babies on the billboard."
Oh man, the video reportedly ran for about 15 to 20 minutes before it was eventually shut down. Officers arrived on scene and witnessed the video being displayed at that time.
Can you imagine
we were
if
able.
somebody with a infant was going by and it went, "Milk, milk"?
Oh man. We were able to contact an emergency contact for the private business which operates the sign, and they were able to shut down the sign. Motherboard managed to identify two of the performers in the video, one of whom explained to the publication that she was mainly concerned about driver safety. Oh boy.
Don't be doing no jobs while you driving down the road.
Right?
It's mighty hard to steer with a giant hard penis.
Oh my God. My
I wonder
question
if there are any
is,
rear end accidents.
well, my question is, why didn't the business check the billboard as they went in to start their day or whatever? I mean, your business that runs a fucking billboard, wouldn't you make sure that it's working correctly? And wouldn't you notice that something isn't right? Something's
Well,
amiss.
it happened at 10:49 p.m. So they
But
broke
still.
into the building after hours. The Auburn Hills Police Department did have a press release in which they said promoting pornography by minors by disseminating any pornographic materials, images, videos, etc. is a violation of an Auburn Hills local ordinance with possible penalty of 90 days in jail and or a $500 fine. The suspects now face potential burglary charges for forcing entry into the building to gain access to the computer system, which is a felony offense.
I mean,
oddly enough, that was the name of the porn.
I don't know. It doesn't say.
I mean,
Motherboard?
Other than,
I don't know.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is, as long as, it was like from Pornhub or something, I don't see how they really violated anything, because people are going to see that in the real world anyway. I don't care what age you are, you're eventually going to see it.
Yeah, but they were disseminating porn.
Disseminating could be a lot of different things in law. We both know that.
Well.
I mean, I could throw something at you. You disseminated that fork in my eye. Like, that's how our justice system fucking works.
Just remember, disseminate and inseminate are two different things.
boy.
Disseminate and inseminate are two totally different things, Recoil. Sad.
Right. Moving right along. Man uses cheese grater to remove tattoo from his arm.
That would be effective.
I was getting ready to say, that'll do it. That sounds like
This
the
is a
guy
20
that... I was going to say, didn't we do one not too long ago about a guy who used a stove eye to do the same thing?
Oh, I don't know. A lot of people get tattoos they later regret, and while most just learn to live with them, one guy made the very questionable decision to use a cheese grater to get rid of his. This kid is 21 years old. Don't you have to be 18 to get a tattoo?
Well, in some states you can be 17. With parental consent, you can be 16, I think.
Either way, so say he got it when he was 16. He had the tattoo for 5 years and then decided it wasn't such a good idea.
Well, at the age of 21, our brains are then fully developed. Well, not in today's world, but
Well, the 21-year-old said it was because he believed he wouldn't be able to join the airport police if he had a visible tattoo, but I'm sure they would have been able to come up with some sort of compromise if it meant his arm could go ungraded. I didn't realize airport police were so strict.
I think that's how they should remove the tattoos of people that put them on their face.
Yep. Definitely.
Oh, it gets better. The man explained he got the tattoo just a week before deciding he wanted to join the airport police. So he had it for a fucking week and then used the cheese grater to take it off? Oh my God.
So that bitch was fresh. He was fucking grating. He had to grate for a minute then. Holy shit.
Jesus Christ.
Why didn't he
Although
just
the
make a hole? I was going to say, why didn't he just make a hole the day of in his fucking ink and let it leak out? All he had was a big fucking scar. Like,
right? He said he was 19 years old at the time, and although this took place in 2017, so he was 19 2 years ago, images of the man's self-inflicted wounds were just released by his friend. So he got a tattoo at 19 and a week later decided he shouldn't have gotten a tattoo because he might not be allowed on the police force at the airport.
well, Noggs brought up Dana Bonaducci used the sander to get rid of one on World's Dumbest, and I was about to say Danny Bonaducci also slept with a hooker transgender and swore up and down that he didn't. So there's that.
Yeah, he beat the fuck out of the guy. He
Yeah.
went to jail for it.
Yeah, because of the whole money thing. It's like, dude, you slept with him. Give him his money.
Man. The kid explained that not only did he want to get rid of it because he wanted to get on the airport police force, he said the other reason I did that to myself was aesthetic. I am very keen on details, and I did not really like how the tattoo was left.
Okay, you get laser removal surgery for a fucking tattoo, guy.
And use the cheese grater on the artist.
He continued by saying, I had to bandage it a lot and apply disinfectant. A week later, I went to the hospital and had a tetanus vaccination. In that moment, I regretted it. Of course I did. And it's only because it hurt and bled a lot that he ended up having to do all this
Get a
stuff.
tetanus shot. What do you use? A fucking rusty cheese grater?
Wait a minute. This is what his parents said.
You know what?
Well, I guess they ain't going to play the rest. He usually says, I'm done. I don't need you. It's like, what the fuck? It's not going to fucking finish it. It just like froze and I can't close it.
Now I got
you.
to start a metal band and call it Rusty Cheese Grater.
Oh my God.
Wait,
here's the final piece that makes the whole story even more insane. After suffering personal problems, he decided not to join the airport police. So he got a tattoo. A week later, used a cheese grater to take it off, and then decided that the job he wanted, he didn't want anymore.
I can't wait. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's probably a good thing. He probably ended up shooting himself anyway.
Oh, man.
I've got a feeling.
Like his psyche valve made the decision for him.
I've got a feeling that he's going to have one of those military-esque stories Like when he gets married, what happened to your arm? Well, you see, I was going to join the airport security team, and this is what
Or
happened.
the airport police.
Whatever. I don't care. Like, just saying airport police and security all in the same sentence is like so fucking, huh? Like,
Right?
that's one of those Scooby-Doo moments. Like,
Oh man. I know, it's great.
I roasted a baby on an open pit and burnt my arm.
All right. Moving along. Blissfully Ignorant Toy Company releases Blue Falcon action figure. Oh my god.
I just imagined like the Buzz Lightyear commercial from Toy Story, and it's like, it's the Blue Falcon! Stands
During
6
times-
inches tall.
During times of excessive glee, it is the duty of one particular tyrant to take the enjoyment of others, interpret it as a threat, and bludgeon it into oblivion, thereby invoking the ancient order of the Blue Falcon.
I'm
There
not
you
gonna
go.
lie,
Toy
that's a pretty
makers.
badass fucking toy right there. I would have one. I mean, you can't tell me you
Right?
wouldn't want to buy one of those.
Toy makers Joy Toy Hardcore Coldplay have produced a Blue Falcon action figure, a morale-crushing member of the U.S. Army Airborne Division, according to the action figure's details.
I think you mean throughout the entire fucking military, you dumb fucks.
This particular Blue Falcon comes equipped with an impressive assembly of futuristic headwear, firearms, grenades, and, of course, the one piece of gear no true Blue Falcon can ever live without: knee pads. A few additional items are especially indicative of a combatant ready to lay waste to the merriment of others.
He even
Oh,
has
man.
a fucking spade on his back. Are you fucking kidding me? He has an entrenching tool on his back. Holy fuck.
Despite his futuristic look, Blue Falcon always carries his old trusty hatchet in tow, which he employs mercilessly to cut down the happiness of any who breach his 50-meter buddy fucking radius.
I'm sorry, if I ever come across one of these, I'm buying one because that's a badass fucking action figure. Like, I want one just so I can be like the baddest guy on the block.
It's great. Joy Toy may have been unaware of Blue Falcon's place with military legend, but he's here nonetheless and is available in a set of 3 alongside CIA South African bounty hunter and Marine Corps individual for a whopping $104.99 because that's cheaper than $105.
Yeah.
And that is a Blue Falcon price if there ever was one.
$104.99.
Oh man.
I gotta look and
there
see
you
what
go.
these other two
There's
look
your-
like now.
There's your crazy Blue Falcon story. It's a good thing that we have so many toys out there that I don't really need to have this one because I'm not spending $105 just on a Blue Falcon.
I'm not
I know it
joking.
comes in a set of 3, but
I'm not joking right now, but one of the first 4 URLs when you type in CIA South African Bounty Hunter, one of the first one is xvideos.com South African Booty.
nice. Good job.
Is that what was on the billboard?
It must have been.
Oh man. Moving right along. This is kind of funny because the story was submitted by Ben Farton and it's about a lady pooping. I swear. A woman loses 10 years of memories after pooping too hard. A Hong Kong woman temporarily lost 10 years of her life after she took a particularly difficult trip to the toilet in one of the rarest and strangest stories you'll hear in a long time.
I hate when I shit out an entire decade.
Right?
Talk about being
One,
constipated.
the unnamed woman had been constipated for a while. I wonder how long a while is.
About 10 years.
2, she lost 10 years of her life. Once the woman came out of the bathroom, her family immediately realized that something wasn't quite right. She couldn't remember anything about her life from the past 10 years. So her family rushed her to a local hospital where she spent the night undergoing tests. Did she remember that they were her family members, or? I mean, it's crazy. She was diagnosed with something called transient global amnesia. It's a temporary issue, thankfully, but still a scary one. According to Hong Kong-based neurologist Dr. Peng, this happens when blood flow and oxygen to the brain is compromised by the jugular vein valve. I don't know what that has to do with pooping.
Wait, is her jugular vein in her asshole or what?
That's why I said I don't know what that has to do with it. Oh, man. Her memory returned after about 8 hours. Constipation is more than just a pain in the butt, obviously. And what's the bottom line of this story? If you're constipated, get some stool softeners.
Right? If you shred your asshole, you may just forget 10 years of your life.
Right? That is crazy.
Speaking of cheese grater.
Speaking of poop, this story was sent in by Oink. The largest fossilized human turd ever found came from a sick Viking. How do they know it was a sick Viking?
I was just going to say that. How the fuck would you even know?
This log is many centuries old, but it's a log with a difference. The Lloyds Bank coprolite, whatever, has had an interesting journey through time, even if its origins are far from palatable, whatever, palatable. I don't fucking know. I can't read. Oh, man. Put simply, this is a fossilized human turd. Not only that, but the largest and bizarrely most valuable on record. It dates back to approximately the 9th century, and the person responsible is believed to be a Viking.
Palatable, like on the palate of your tongue. Tasteful.
Oh, yeah, because I'm definitely going to eat a fucking turd.
Well, instead of saying the origins are far from tasteful, they have to make it.
What can I possibly do to get this tasted baby out of my mouth? I'll eat Leif Erikson's fucking turd.
Oh my god.
What a shitty subject.
Apparently, according to the turd, he was not a great vegetable eater. Instead, living on large amounts of meat and grains, such as bran, despite fruit stones, nutshells, and other stools containing matter from vegetables, such as leeks, being found on the same site. So there you go. There's a big giant turd from a Viking.
Well, I mean, I don't know how big this piece of shit actually is, but if it's as big as the fucking picture, I don't want to know the size of his ass, and that's probably how he died and lost a decade of his memory.
The fucking dude just blew out the hammer of Thor.
Right? Holy shit. And it's valued at $39,000.
Wow, there's a golden egg for you.
I apologize. I had to mute because Six came downstairs coughing up a lung.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, I was like, well, let me mute real quick. All right, moving along. Male sex dolls are being introduced to adult market, but may be too heavy to handle. Right. With the rise of artificial intelligence and the proliferation of venues for non-traditional pornography, it was only a matter of time before the rise of the sex robot was upon us. But most people think of sex robots that satisfy the needs of cisgender heterosexual men. You know, those are men who were born as men and still believe they are men. It's kind of sad that we have to like specify now. But now sex dolls are being made available to a wider market as manufacturers have started catering to the needs of those across the spectrum of sexuality. So hold on. They used to only be for men who were born men and still believe they are men. But now they're not made just for women who were born women and still believe they are women.
I thought a sex doll meant you had sex with the fucking doll. So now you mean to tell me the sex doll is to replace your own gender?
Well, it says Brent Lawson, the owner of this company that created it, he said, "We actually have a male part this year. It is fully featured. Actually, he has a penis and it is fully flexible in any way, shape, or form."
Oh,
Even
so
with
you
a
made a
bionic-
dildo. Oh my god, the technology.
Even with a bionic penis, the male sex doll is not just limited to one method of pleasure. He says he has an anal entry and he has oral entry for folks of the homosexual community. So not only just for females, but also for males as well.
Yeah, because there's no women out there that want to ram shit up a dude's ass.
Oh my god. To be honest with you, typically it is more for males because of the weight, because most of these dolls start around 80 pounds to 85 pounds. So it's for fucking men.
Yeah, I'm like, why
Literally.
did you say that? Yeah. I love the price and then what it says afterwards there at the bottom.
Yeah, right. Male dolls retail. We have two different models, a 160 centimeter tall version and a 175 centimeter tall version. The entry level, I believe, starts around 1800 and includes free shipping. Woohoo!
Get free shipping now when you buy an $1,800 doll. It's just a sex doll. You get the bionic dildo for free.
I know, right?
Oh my god. Hey, whoever that is that owns these sex dolls, if you want to sponsor us, I'd be more than happy to make your ads. Just hit me up.
We've got three stories left. We'll go through these super fast. So this one came from Harry. I don't know who Harry is, but it came from Harry. Passenger opens airplane emergency exit door just to get breath of fresh air. This is great. So apparently this one, the plane was sitting on the ground for like an hour. And this lady decided that she needed a breath of fresh air. And after she told the flight attendant that she needed a breath of fresh air, she decided to just open the emergency exit. Well, no, at least they were still on the ground. They were not mid-flight, but it did delay the flight for about an hour.
Oh my god.
I know, right?
Why didn't
Flight was already delayed.
Why didn't she just take some fucking Valium before she got on the plane?
Hey, I wonder what this handle does.
Oh man. They say luckily it would be physically impossible for an incident like this to occur at cruising altitudes, despite some attempts. But passengers have accidentally or intentionally opened emergency exits against cabin crew orders before when planes were on the ground.
Just a side note and discretion advisory. For those DVs that take that as a challenge, do not say you heard that on dbradio.net, please.
It's not a challenge, people.
Right.
This one came from DV Stack. Parents love mom's cute hack using pajamas to convince her children to be silent before bed.
What?
Right. I know the headline is kind of confusing. A mom's hilarious photo of her 2 young daughters lying on their backs and staring at the ceiling has gone viral as other parents applaud her adorable life hack. Jessica D has always struggled to find some downtime
Pound town.
around. I know, right? Around the house. Energetic daughters bounced around the house. Both of her little ones have a sensory processing disorder, which means they are often overstimulated by their surroundings.
So they're
Bedtime battles
autistic.
were a regular event for Jessica and her husband Eric until one night changed it all. The exasperated mom had been listening to the girls running around the house after a busy weekend when the 33-year-old pulled out her children's glow-in-the-dark pajamas. She told the pair that for the pajamas to work, they would both have to lie still and quietly under the light to charge up the glow. That's actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah, but don't make them lay on a hardwood fucking floor. Get them on their fucking bed, you dumbass.
No. That night and every other since, the tots settle down on their bedroom floor without a peep, waiting for their pajamas to glow like fire-breathing dragons as Jessica gets on with her chores in peace.
Fire-breathing dragons.
Oh, man. So there you go. That's almost like your feel-good story. Almost, but not quite.
You kids go to sleep so Daddy can take Mommy to Pound Town.
God. This is not a feel-good story, and it came from Nevermore. 3 people arrested after allegedly trading toddler for vehicle. This just happened to be in your backyard, Bo.
Yep, I've seen that.
It happened in Thomasville, North Carolina.
Also,
3
that's where
people
I was going to say that's where most of the drug addicts are. So don't ever go to Thomasville, North Carolina, if you're ever around.
3 people are behind bars after they were accused of trading a 2-year-old for a vehicle. They were arrested on Wednesday. What? Thomasville detectives responded to Wake Forest Baptist Health's High Point Medical Center after a report that a 2-year-old was brought in with bruising. Hospital staff alerted law enforcement and Child Protective Services. Whoa. If they traded the kid, then who brought the kid to the hospital?
Well, read a little bit down.
Police say Tina Marie brought the child to the hospital, saying that she was the child's mother. She then reportedly changed her story and said she was the child's adoptive parent. Police say she had no documents to back up that claim. The child was then given to a family member. Investigators were able to find the biological mother, Alice Leanne Todd. Police say Todd gave the child, then less than a year old, to Travis and her husband in exchange for a vehicle. That's crazy.
Yep.
Oh, man. The neighbor said, I see them out on the porch. She really took care of that kid. Yeah, until she didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. Who is... Here, have my kid. I'll take your car.
You'd be surprised what people fucking do in this world nowadays.
Honestly, I say let the people keep the kid.
Well, that's like... It's like, here, take my kid, I'll take your card. And those people were like, sure, I'll take your child. You can have my car. What the fuck?
Yeah, I want to see the exchange, honestly. I want to know the exchange that happened.
Oh my God. It's like...
I don't know. That Tyler there only looks like a 1985 Buick trade-in. I better give me an upgrade here soon.
Oh, that's crazy. That is all the news that we have for this evening.
Outstanding. Well, I didn't get to mention it earlier because we were talking about Guardia, the author of Tomcat Theory, a combat history of the F-14. But Security Sucks podcast airs all new this Monday at 1700, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's with Jason Collins, a U.S. Marine vet, firearms and EP instructor. Jason has worked for over 20 years in the security industry and is currently working EP, faith-based security and boots on the ground for rescue children from horrible situations in politically unbalanced countries. Jason speaks from the heart when he talks about his ventures to remove children from work camps, brothels, and other unfortunate and sad situations. Please help out by searching Children Rescue Initiative and support the cause. Again, that Security Sucks podcast this Monday, all new at 1705 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will not have a brand new Media Litter Sandwich come Tuesday, but it airs right here on dvradio.net. Again, that Security Sucks podcast, 1705 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on dvradio.net. Check us out over on MeWe.com. Make you an account, search DV Radio, join the group, join the page, and follow us and let us know how you like it over there. Also, we're going to put up the shopping list on the website as well as over on all of our social media accounts. So you can find that if you are so inclined to buy any equipment for DV Radio. We would greatly appreciate it, but please do not put yourself in a financial position that makes it hard on yourself. dvfarm.org, smile.amazon.com, make DV Farm your charity of choice. A portion of your shopping cart goes directly to the DV Farm when you check out. No hidden fees or extra costs to you. Again, smile.amazon.com, make DV Farm your charity of choice. Twitter at DV_DV Radio. And Recoil, what can people do if they want to get completely away from social media, including MeWe, Facebook, Twitter, and all that bullshit?
Well, if you haven't already, you should head over to our forum at dvbarracks.com. That's dvbarracks.com. Once you get there, you can create yourself an account using either your Facebook login or your email. Once you have an account created, go to the top right-hand corner of the screen and click on your profile. You can change your picture to any picture you want to use, and you can change your name to any call sign you want to use. Then you are free to use the forum in anonymity. The forum is all the typical DV fuckery that you would expect, like back when we used to have a Facebook page. But now, you can pretty much go to the fucking forum or the closed group. And there's also my personal favorite section of the forum is the peer support section. That's brothers and sisters like you and me looking out for brothers and sisters like you and me. So one last time, that's dvbarracks.com.
He's been going so fucking long he don't even remember his pitch. Listen to DV Forum at dvbarracks.com. Go sign up right now if you haven't already, and don't miss out on anything Dysfunctional Veterans, DV Farm, and DV Radio related. As always, we are looking for shows, segments, and fucking host people to voice shit here on DV Radio. Hit us up at oink or info@dvradio.net. Let us know what you can do. Send us in a 3 to 5 minute demo of yourself. Don't forget, Charlie Mike Podcast is coming up with us, and they will be syndicated here. Up in Arms Podcast is no longer at all. Like, they're done complete. Like, that's it. Also, sponsors, thank you so much. ShootersExpress.com, as well as Nightcap Productions, What the Forecast, and Backseat Navigator. Grab those apps on your Android and Apple devices at the app stores right now to support our sponsors. That's all I have. Recoil, any last thoughts, since you've not been here in a moment?
Be safe and keep looking out for each other, fuckers.
Google.
I think I just became dumber by watching this video of a woman taunting a lion in its cage.
Wow. Frosty.
Right?
If you have a tattoo you want removed, don't use a cheese grater. There are better options.
And Mr. Oink.
If you're one of the Vikings and you take a shit, you can't collect on your $39,000 turd.
There you have it. Yeah. We had a shitty week with news, but next week, hopefully, you can one-up our shittiness this week. For everyone here at Barracks Talk, including DV6 and Marky, who couldn't make it, Google Oink, Recoil, Frosty. Thank you, Mike Guardia. Go check out MikeGuardia.com and grab his books right now. I am Boner Wood. You just heard Barracks Talk here on WDVR, DVRadio.net. Until next week, Futsickles. Bye-bye.
Hit us up on Facebook and Twitter.
That's all, folks. Goodbye, motherfucker!
DV Radio.
We're clear of the radio waves that are also known as on air.